Hi there. My name is Devesh Rohra, and the following presentation is an oral presentation in which I will be discussing graduate attributes and how they can be used in given situation or scenarios. To start, I will explain what exactly graduate attributes are. They are skills, attributes, qualities that a graduate learns over his or her tenure with the institution or university that they attend. These attributes are expected to be engraved in the graduates' minds once they are done with their studies. So it's basically skills that you learn over time, in which you learn during your studies or even your workplace, wherever you can, like, after you graduate an institution, you should know these attributes and they should be engraved in your head. So these attributes are universally agreed upon by the university or the institution that you're studying in. Also, these are skills that will prepare you for your future and your graduate life, whether it be future endeavors in which you work in a workplace, or helping out society, or whatever actions you take or do in future endeavors. So the first graduate attribute that I'll be discussing is critical and creative thinking skills. This attribute is essentially the skill of being able to identify limitations in one's reasoning or logic. It also means that the graduate can critically assess arguments and even formulate their own arguments using logic and resources. So, whatever evidence they're given or whatever basic common knowledge that they know, they're able to point out someone's limitations in their arguments or even form their own argumentation skills. Furthermore, this attribute asks the graduate to be able to rank and evaluate certain methods of approaches in the realm of psychology, whether it be psychoanalysis or even methodological approaches in psychology. Um, Lastly, the attribute calls for the graduate to exhibit efficient problem solving skills in regards to human behavior. So, whenever you're given a problem, you're able to tackle it properly and think creatively, such as doing this assignment right now, which is asking me to really think creatively and be able to formulate my words in a very what do you call it, like catching way, so that you guys can be listening to my presentation very avidly. Secondly, the next attribute is values and ethics in psychology. And so this attribute, if acquired, will allow the graduate to be able to observe moral influences that affects the individual in a larger scale society. So whether the individual is in, like how I am in Monash University right now, with various different people who think in different ethics, who have different values. And so the attribute basically allows you to observe different influences that affect certain values and certain ethics in people, so you can kind of gauge where you are right now. And furthermore, the graduate can make note on how discriminatory attitudes that exist in an individual can cause inequality. So whether I have some discriminatory behaviors inside me, or even someone else has discriminatory behaviors with them, this attribute should be able to point out those discriminatory behaviors and, like, really take note of them. Furthermore, the graduate should also be able to fathom relevant professional codes. So, whether it be acting properly or behaving properly in a professional environment, in an educational environment, knowing such values, including whether it's right to plagiarize someone else's work, or whether it's wrong, like whether it's right to collude with others, which is wrong actually. And lastly, the graduate will be able to apply their own philosophical positions to new and innovative ethical debates. So I can formulate new ideas on how I believe in such things when it comes to an ethical debate regarding to basically anything in ethics relating to psychology, or even anything um, not relating to psychology, being anything at all. Your values and your ethics should just you should be able to know your own philosophical positions properly. And lastly, the last graduate attribute is communication and interpersonal skills. This attribute is the skill of useful and efficient writing. So being able to properly communicate to someone in various formats or purposes, whether it be persuasion, information, just letting someone know, but you're able to, like, communicate in a well-versed manner. This can mean that graduate is a very versatile writer and speaker, so he listens well. He can write very well. He understands everyone's point of view in a good manner, and which also leads to the graduate knowing how to listen properly and speak properly, as I in an effective manner, as I said before. So the graduate must display adequate oral presentation and interviewing skills, as like I'm doing right in this oral presentation. And furthermore, the graduate should also use these skills to speak with individuals of various backgrounds, whether it be cultural, religion, or anything. And yeah, just basically, the graduate should be able to work well with others in a collaborative environment, completing tasks, working successfully, and so on. So for the following scenario, there are two scenarios that I'll be focusing on. And within those two scenarios, I'll be focusing mainly on the attribute of communication and interpersonal skills. So for scenario A, which basically outlines the case of working in a group that includes diverse backgrounds, so whether it be cultural, religion, like I said before, the individuals may not be able to speak English. It may not be their first language, so there's that bit of a barrier in between. So using the attribute of communication, I can effectively listen to what they're trying to convey, or what my partners are trying to convey in that group setting, and then carefully formulate my response to work with them. In my own personal experience, I'm a third culture kid, which basically means that I grew up in a country which is not my homeland. My homeland is India, that's what my passport shows. But I grew up in China, and specifically inside China, I grew up inside an American school, which is just a little of a bubble where most of my teachers were American and most of my friends were American, so everyone could speak English. But then coming here last year in Monash College in the foundation year, a lot of my group classmates were Chinese, so a lot of them didn't speak English properly. So using my skill of communication, I could understand what they're trying to convey. And then during a group assignment, I could always listen carefully and do my best to fully understand the message they're trying to convey. And then for the second scenario, which is basically setting the scene of how to gain success in a collaborative environment. And so to increase collaboration between my group mates, I would resort to the attribute of interpersonal skills, which basically means that I would take into account all my members' cultural backgrounds and everything that they're trying to say, and then take note of how they would formulate ideas, and then create like a tapestry that involves everyone's ideas and statements. Just pulling a little bit from there, and then like kind of putting myself into a leadership role. And then within this role, I use my skills of like my interpersonal skills and call for everyone to like voice themselves, and then come to like a consensual argumentation in which we gain success from that assignment, or then gain success in that discussion itself. So yeah, that's all, folks. This comes to an end of my presentation, and thank you so much for listening, and I hope you had a great time. Thank you.